Hey folks, Craig Danger, Vinyl Record Player. Ho! Just thought I would do a quick video on debut albums, maybe under-recognized debut albums of the 1960s. I'm going to show you 5 of those big dogs today. Probably 5 records that you don't automatically think of when you think of debut albums from the 1960s, but hey, that's what we're here to do with the Danger program. That's just what we're here to do. So first off, I should just say, friends, I think it's time to buckle up. And we're back. So I just thought I'd do a quick video on debut albums of the 60s that maybe we don't always think about. I mean, you have your classics. You've got your Mr. Tambourine Man by the Byrds. You've got, the Beatles' first album, Meet the Beatles, etc., etc. What about those first LPs that really kind of go under the radar? So I thought I'd just pick up 5 from the old collection and talk about each of these. I'm not sure that they're all super classic records, but all records definitely worth a listen and a pickup if you are a collector of the vinyl. Let's start out with 1967's Canned Heat. Self-titled debut by Canned Heat. It's a really good record. Sounds very seasoned of a record. This, of course, the key players in Canned Heat would be Bob Hite, who was also nicknamed the Bear. Large Man was Bob Hite. And, of course, Blind Owl, Alan Wilson. Called the Blind Owl because, of course, the gentleman had to wear glasses. Terrible eyesight. But wow, what an ear for the blues, and also, fantastic harmonica player. He's all over this LP. This one would be released right after Canned Heat would play at the Monterey Pop Festival. That was a huge break for them. Really fun record. Again, I don't think this is necessarily their best record. That would probably go to their second LP, Boogie with Canned Heat, which was really my introduction. My dad had that album going way back. Obviously, it's got the track On the Road Again, which is just an eerie, ghostly rock and roll track that's like terrifyingly good, actually, to be honest. But at any rate, Canned Heat, the debut, it's mostly blues covers on this one. Nothing original really coming from them yet. But, I mean, you've got the classics. You've got Rollin' and Tumblin'. You've got Going Down Slow, Evil is Going On, Dust My Broom. I mean, their version of Dust My Broom. It ain't no Fleetwood Mac version, but it's pretty good as well. So from '67, catch this on the Elektra label. Maybe not in the best condition, this one. But Canned Heat, the debut, the self-titled debut, worth a checkout, is what I'm saying. I think some of my viewers from the United Kingdom would know this one. How about Scott, also known as Scott 1 by Scott Walker. Now, Scott Walker obviously would be in the Walker Brothers. In North America, they would be known for The Sun Ain't Gonna Shine Anymore. They also did Make It Easy on Yourself, really. I almost want to say the seminal version. Jerry Butler does a version, obviously Dionne Warwick, but Make It Easy on Yourself by the Walker Brothers, ooh, painful in a great way. So what happens is the Walker Brothers put out 2 or 3 albums. They're not really brothers. Scott Walker, I guess his name isn't really even Walker. But basically, they put out 3 albums. Scott moves on from the group, releases this, Scott 1, and wow. This is, I guess you could classify this as Baroque pop, meaning lots of strings, very croony. And if you know any of his material from the Walker Brothers, obviously that was just the sort of singer that he was. But this is very good stuff. A lot of Jacques Brel compositions, 3 or 4 in there that are just fantastic. Redone in English, obviously. But, this is a really great album. But you know what? This is really just the beginning. Particularly if you're in North America. Scott Walker may have passed you by. This is, Scott Walker is definitely one of those people super worthy to get into. Basically, he does 4 albums in the 60s. Scott 1, which is this, his debut from '67. Scott 2, Scott 3, and what? Yes, that's right, Scott 4. And all of them are just absolutely delightful albums. Lots of strings, very, it's Baroque pop, but it's very, very good. He has an amazing sort of croony voice. This is a repress on Four Men with Beards. I'm told they don't make the best represses. I don't know. This seems fine to me. It's a great sounding record, and yeah, and cool as hell. I have all four of Scott's sort of 1960s LPs, and ooh, listen to this one today. It is very good. If you happen to see it, you're probably, if you see it in North America, you're probably only going to be able to get it as a repress. But certainly not, definitely worth picking up. Very good album, and yeah, explore his work. I would say probably key tracks on this: Matilda, Montague Terrace in Blue, Such a Small Love. Ooh, very good stuff. A lot of strings on this, a lot of orchestral vibes. But wow, fantastic album from '67. The first of Scott Walker's many albums, Scott 1. Oh, how about from 1962? My man and yours. Who's that? That's about Lou Rawls. With the Les McCann trio. Now, if you're a jazz person, you probably know about Les McCann. If you're not a jazz person, then Les McCann, Eddie Harris, The Swiss Movement, 69. Look for that album compared to What Is the Song? Oh, that's a great one. But in 62, Les would be much more fledgling, as would Lou. This is, of course, would be his debut album. Now, before this, Lou had released a couple of singles. Certainly, he was in gospel. He was with a group called the Traveling Pilgrims, right around the time when Sam Cooke was moving from his gospel sort of origins from the Soul Stirrers to just becoming Sam Cooke. He signs to Capitol, basically gets discovered. He's basically singing apparently for $10 a night and some pizza at a local pizza place in Los Angeles. Hey, gets discovered, records this album. It's basically mostly jazz and blues standards. Of course, by this time, I was also reading, I didn't even know, he had already sang at the Hollywood Bowl, which is pretty wild. This, of course, will be his debut album. What's stirring about this? A lot of basically blues and jazz standards. I mean, you've got, obviously, the title track, Stormy Monday. God Bless the Child, C.C. Rider. What's striking about this album is just how on and how absolutely professional Lou sounds already. He would go on to make about 20 more albums for Capitol in the 1960s. And this is even pre-David Axelrod, if you're aware of his work with Axelrod. Fantastic, including, of course, one of my favorite albums from '66, Soulin' by Lou Rawls. But this one is just, as a debut, you want to talk about confident debuts. Woo! Really good. And again, the Les McCann trio is on it. So the playing is nice. It's jazzy. Very well done. But obviously, I'm a monster fan of Lou Rawls. But this is one that never really gets mentioned. It is all standards. But again, this is all about Lou. Lou takes the absolute star billing on this one. And man, from birth, this gentleman. It's just right off. You hear this album, you're like, oh, this man knows. This man's going to be big. He's going to be big. And then you know what? He was. He just was. So Lou Rawls, Les McCann, with the Les McCann trio from 1962. Lou Rawls sings and plays Stormy Monday. Really, really good one. Here's a kind of a lesser one. People don't talk all that much about. How about Tim Buckley, the self-titled LP from also, I believe, either 66 or this one I think is from, let's see, I think it's 67. At any rate, Tim Buckley, he basically recorded this album, wrote and recorded most of it, at least co-wrote most of it, recorded it in like 66, released in 67, 19 years old, this guy. Wow. This, I listened to this today. It's very folk rock. There are elements of what would later become Tim Buckley's more experimental stuff, which is not as easy to get into. It takes repeated listens for at least some of the mid-period stuff, like your Sophronia, Greetings from LA. Greetings from LA is more of a funk album, but this is very folk rocky. There's not any like straight up bangers. Just a straight up banger, non-banger alert. There's nothing on here that you're gonna be like, oh my god, anthem of the century. But Really good, really well done. He's 19 here, and I mean the songs are very, very good. This is one of those kind of chill albums. You can easily put this on a Sunday, and I was very happy to find this on the Elektra label. I was found it at the local record store. I think I got it for under 10, and beautiful condition considering it's got the stereo sticker up there. But Tim Buckley, really an assured sort of debut album. From an artist that, unfortunately, many people know his son, Jeff Buckley, for, of course, his key album, Grace. But Tim Buckley, the debut, very much worth a pickup. You can hear that he's starting to shape into who he would become, which, let's face it, by 68, 69, 70, was fairly experimental. But right here, delivers the goods in sort of a lighter, sort of folk rocky way, and it is a very good debut album. And of course, we're just gonna go ahead and finish up here with what? Is it a Hutch alert? It's a goddamn Hutch alert. That's right. Yes, if you've ever watched the channel, you know that I relish each and every opportunity to bring up this soul portrait, Willie Hutch, his debut from 1969. Why? Maybe because I think it's probably a top 3 soul and R&B album of the entire 1960s. That's right. I'm just going to go ahead and throw that out there not because it's an opinion, but because it's a fact. Anyway, so by this point, it's 69. Willie Hutch basically had written some stuff for the Fifth Dimension by that point. Particularly on their debut album, he had done some stuff. He had released some singles on an LA label early. One actually became a big northern soul thing in England later, called The Duck. But up until then, he was mainly just a songwriter, a little bit of production as well. Basically goes into Capitol Records. I believe, this would be RCA, of course. And was speaking with John Flores. By the way, check the comments. I do actually have an interview with John Flores, producer John Flores, and we do talk a little bit about this album. And it's a great interview. But anyway, he goes into John Flores' office and he's pitching him some songs. Oh, check this. And John Flores is listening to him and going, yeah, bro, you need to be singing these songs. So basically, John Flores kind of arranges a deal with RCA. They record this album. It is, I just think it's an all-out burning classic. I was reading earlier some critiques saying, well, there's no real highs, but there's no lows. No, this is all highs, friends. This is all highs. Track 1 to track 10. Oh, no ballads on this dog. Just ripping soul. Again, I'm going to go ahead and call it a top 3 soul album of the entire decade, coming in just under the wire in 1969. Willie Hutch, Soul Portrait. Sad and terrible tale about this one, of course, is that wouldn't sell anything. RCA basically decided, we can't promote this. This record is too much. It was too much. Why? Because it was top 3 soul record of the entire 1960s. They didn't even know what to do with it. Too many bangers. They were just like, RCA was just like, what do we do? There's too many bangers. I don't know. Every song sounds like a goddamn hit. They didn't say that. They were fools. But at any rate, Soul Portrait, I have mentioned this now on my channel probably about 39 times. And you know what? You can bet there'll be 40 and maybe even 50. But again, in terms of lesser known debut albums of the 1960s, this one ringing in at number 5 for me. Not in order, of course, but just in terms of this 5, Soul Portrait from 1969. You can get this on a repress, and you should. I won't even point out the bangers on this one because the whole album is full of bangers from track 1 to track 10. I can listen to this all day, and in fact, kind of have many a day is all I'm saying. So at any rate, like, subscribe. These things help the channel. Actually, it was funny. The other week, I had one of my videos get like something like 2,500 views. It was like, oh my God, it was crazy. And then that was it. But still, the likes do help because it basically tells YouTube, hey, check this out. And then, people see my video, and then, everybody gets to love the danger, I guess. Whatever. At any rate, subscribe too, as you always should, because let's face it, subscribers win the best prizes at whatever they do, all the time, every day. Okay. So, thanks for tuning in, and you know what? I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to see you when? I think the next one.